Hello, everyone. You're in orbit with Launch Team 6352. We're your hosts. I'm Aditya, and today I'm joined by Nathan, Kate, and Arul. So today's episode is about different ways that we can plan to use robotics that we're learning currently in our first robotics competitions, and ways that we can use it after graduating high school and becoming first alums. Kate, you have something to add about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about first robotics, the saying that, like the catchphrase, I don't know. There's like so many robotics sayings, but one of the ones you hear a lot is, like at first and with first robotics, like we're not we're not having kids build robots, we're building kids through robots or something cheesy like that. Like essentially being like we're building kids' character through building robotics, through building robots in robotics. It's a mouthful, but no. Talking about like the skills you can learn through robotics, there's kind of two schools of thought. There's like the technical skills, lefty loosey righty tighty, all of the like technical knowledge that you gain through building. And then there's also the soft skills, your communication, leadership, organization, all of those things. And I think being on a robotics team really prepares you for success, not only in potential workplace and like in future jobs, but also just in your life with your basic soft skills and learning to communicate with people.
Yeah, I agree. Since I'm like a senior in high school right now, I'm gonna be a first alum pretty soon, and I can see myself kind of mentoring a bunch of first robotics teams because that's how I got into STEM, and it's impacted me as an individual. So, like as I grow older, I hope to spread an impact and get more kids into STEM. And yeah.
A rule. At the moment, you're also coaching an FTC team, I believe.
Yes, yes, I am. I'm doing it with Arnav Kanan, who sadly cannot attend this recording session right now. But both of us have been spending our time coaching four actual FTC teams at a middle school. We got a lot of kids working on robots at the same time, but we've done it with our mentor, Mr. Robertson, and he's helped us a lot. So I would like to do the same thing for all the years to come, like spreading my wisdom with the youngins, you know?
Yep, I agree. I think another thing is like I would also want to mentor FTC in the future because that's how I started and joined First Robotics. I remember in middle school or even like early elementary school, a lot of my friends were doing FLL Challenge, I think, or FLL Junior. I forgot what it was, and I remember like being super like mad at myself for like not joining robotics at that time because I felt like it was a good opportunity. I joined Science Olympiad instead, which was an interesting choice by me, but I'm glad I joined FTC
You
in eighth
switched.
grade.
Yeah, yeah, you switched. You
Yeah, yeah.
chose the right path in the end, right?
No, I mean Science Olympiad was good. It's just like I enjoyed robotics more. I,
Okay,
I, I
yeah,
fully
yeah.
respect Science Olympiad. Anyway, so I think like the whole FTC situation, since we had a very small team, it helped me like learn more because I was one of the main programmers, so I got to help learn actually how everything worked. Because our coach was very new, so he wasn't like very experienced in the FTC space. So we did end up going to the Nevada State Championships, and we won regionals and states as well, which is a good experience for us. But I think that convinced me like there that I wanted to mentor FTC because of course I love FRC and all the competition that has to come with that. But I think FTC was just my first introduction, so I'd probably want to mentor that in the future.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely there's these cycles of people going through robotics, whether it be, at the high school level with FRC or the middle school with FTC, but people generally like to come back and kind of continue to support. I think it's really interesting that obviously a lot of students that are involved in robotics end up going into STEM fields. But there are for sure kids on teams who don't have those goals and decide to go into things other than STEM fields. And I think even for them, at first glance, sometimes you know, from the outside, if you don't fully understand what being on a first team is like, you might assume that it's just people who are interested in going into engineering or computer science and all of those areas. But when you really dive into what you get to do on these robotics teams, there's really room for people who are interested in all sorts of things. And so moving forward, like, not only is robotics going to help you find success, at as specifically, in a career that's specific to engineering and technology, but you can find success in management, in business, in pretty much anything you could think of.
Yeah, to touch on that, while we're in a first team, we learn many things such as communication skills, something that you mentioned. We have to have all of these fields within our careers going forward. For me, I'm planning to become a mechanical engineer in the future. So I'm going to have to work with my team in order to complete obstacles that might show up, just like how in first we have to overcome these challenges with the robots that we build.
Well, moving on to the next section of today's recording. What are your guys' plans after high school? Of course, we can talk about first as we were before, but in general, how would you suggest? I know Nathan talked a little bit about mechanical engineering, but let's talk a little bit about our career plans and how robotics ties into that, and mainly the first community will tie into that.
Yeah, I'm a senior, as I said before, and I want to go to college after I graduate from high school. And what I want to do when I'm a part of college, well, I'm going to be a freshman again, so I got a lot to learn when I go to college. And I would like to get myself involved in extracurriculars. As I said before, I want to keep on mentoring first robotics teams, and I want to also like participate in ways like using robotics to better the world. Kind of since we kind of screwed ourselves over with climate change, like finding ways to help reduce the bad impact and try replacing with the better impact. You know what I'm saying?
For sure, yeah. I'm a sophomore. I'm still somewhat undecided what I'm interested in, but I'm probably more likely to end up, in your communications, business, political science sort of world. And I think really, even though, you know, I might not have, my hands on a wrench all day or thinking about some of the like strictly technical aspects, there are still tools and things I've learned from my time on launch team that will help me, like pursue those careers. That's not to say there's, no way I'll end up in one of those careers, but there's still lots of possibilities and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, adding on to that, there's just a lot of careers that you said that you could probably fall into, but and things don't always go as planned. Like I could end up as an electrical engineer rather than a mechanical engineer. But continuing on, there are different things that to experience inside college for some of our seniors that I know have decided to do many extracurriculars that are within the robotics field. Um, there's a club actually at ASU Forks Up that about race cars and other ones about aerospace engineering and etc. building planes. And one of my friends actually got an internship from NASA due to one of these that he thought would just be a good experience to have. So it might be something good in order to just explore well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And in terms of my career path, I've kind of switched around from like aerospace to astrophysics to computer science, but I think right now I'm settled on aerospace engineering and probably more specifically astronautical engineering because I don't know, planes are just not as interesting to me as rockets are. But anyway, so in terms of that, I feel like robotics, even like all aspects of it, whether it be programming or build, I want to get more into build this year because I feel like that will be helpful to me in the future. I've been doing Impact with kids since my freshman year, so there's still a lot of business sides of things that I'm definitely interested in. But that's what I like about First Robotics is like it's not only a technical thing or only a non-technical thing. Like, for example, I'm also on speech debate, which is like a purely non-technical thing, whereas some things like app development is purely technical. So I think robotics is completely like a good mix of all those things. So you can kind of find your own role in it as you want, and you can also switch around whenever you can. So that's like kind of my career path. And in the future, as I said before, I would want to coach an FTC team and maybe an FRC team if I have the funds for that. Let's just say.
Yeah. So I'm also on the train. I'm like trying to help out with the engineering group. Like last year, I helped do documentation with Nathan, and that was fun. And I like writing a lot, but I think it's more fun putting screws together and like actually like building the robot. And I saw Audi personally help with the engineering department, and I can say he has a long way to go. But honestly, I'm not any
What is that
better.
supposed to mean, bro?
Like I got some experience from helping like the FTC teams. Like I was the go-to man when it comes to like putting the chains together,
Okay,
if you know what I'm
okay,
saying. But
bro.
like Audi still needs a little time to kind of adapt. Like, but Audi's just a one person, but anybody can do anything they want. Like, like don't stop yourself from going to other fields. Like if you're a programmer, go to engineering. If you're an engineer, go and start programming because you can do it.
All right, well, I'm actually getting breaking news right now. I've heard that Arnav Kannan has joined the podcast. Arnav, would you like to talk about something?
Do 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 do. Yeah, what's up, fans? Yeah, I'm here. Just in time to talk about what we're gonna do when we get out of high school robotics. And me personally, I've been like Audi said, he's been debating for years. I've been debating for years. I think everyone is debating for years. And I'm gonna make the introduction right here. First time, first time, first time. Everyone can ever actually hear it for the first time. Breaking news. I'm gonna do computer science. Who would have thought? Okay. No, on a serious note though.
Yeah, but Arnav, weren't you doing engineering before and you switched to
Yeah.
computer science?
So
I
this
thought you were
is
gonna pursue that engineering
so this
path,
is
but
where
what?
this is where it comes in a rule. You know me, okay? I'm indecisive. So this is where it comes
Same.
in, okay? I I like the programming side, right? I like the data science side. So I thought,
Mm,
what's a way I can use all the engineering, both soft skills and hard skills that I have learned, soft skills and technical skills that I got from robotics, and use it in any field. So I thought, computer engineering.
mm,
Sounds really crazy, right? But let me let me get into it real quick, right? Uh, Computer engineering is like using the engineering principles, but with computers. Like that's literally like my dream right
mm.
there, right? And it's just built in. And then on top of that, you can use a lot of like programming is in there and other stuff along the same lines is in there. And I'm just glad I was able to hop on here real quick, give you guys my perspective. But I know someone who hasn't talked yet is waiting to out here to talk about his whole future. That's the duck himself, the Nathaniel Quack, Nathan. Woo!
Well, anyway, speaking on your side about coding, I also have a slight interest on coding rather than also engineering. I've mainly been in the build room, tossing up the wrench in order to, build the robot, see how it goes. But there's also the coding aspect that's interesting. Like during the competition last year, there we had to change autos in order to just adapt to our teams that we got. And a rule, speaking of something that we were doing, just yesterday we had the limelight. So I know you're speaking a little bit, you wanted to see a little bit more of the building side of things, but we had to do some electronics in order to see what was what was wrong and to set up the light to limelight.
Yeah, so I remember our interesting experience working with the Limelight. So as me, Arnav, and Nathan were working on it, like Arnav and I were working on it, and Nathan would come and help out. So we had a lot of road bumps on the way, but we couldn't have done it without Nathan because we couldn't even get it to power on. And then Nathan had the suggestion of plugging into a robot that actually had power. So that helped us make breakthroughs when it came to the Limelight. And yeah, and then we still needed help after that, and we needed to ask our mentor to help us out, Mr. Caring. Like, he's the goat. Like, he helped us solve a problem that we were struggling with way too much. And Arnav's actually on this call, so I want to hear his perspective on the issue that both of us faced together.
You know, Problems arise, guys. Problems arise all the time. And that's a really good thing that I've learned from robotics is that like if you don't have we're surrounded with really good mentors who don't judge you like for what you don't know and don't judge you for what you do know, because everything that you're learning is an experience at the end of the day and you're here to learn. So when me and Arul were doing a little bit of ineffective way of trying to, go through the entire Limelight setup process hardware wise. Because not only are we a little bit inexperienced in hardware, but we're also inexperienced with Limelight. So both of them compounded together with us being kind of ineffective. But when we realize the solution, it kind of just, you know what I mean? It makes you feel like adrenaline. It makes you feel like happy. I know everyone else who was in that room on Saturday, they heard me and Arul gasps of air, putting our hands up in the air, yelling out, "Woo! We figured it out! Woo!" You know what I mean? So it's like this learning process that I think that I'm gonna continue to take. I'm just gonna go back to kind of what we were talking about, which is like how we can use this afterwards. And it's this like yearn to learn. Oh, that was a bar. This yearn to learn that I'm gonna take
How
out of here.
inspiring.
I know. Speaking of, guys, I'm gonna plug it here. I will be dropping music soon, so just putting that out there. But back to what I was saying, that yearn to learn is something I'm gonna take with me from robotics everywhere I go after high school. And yeah, I just want everyone to know that if you do join robotics and if you do learn engineering, you will get that yearn and you will want to learn and you want to develop your skills. You want to develop the thrills. You want to be energetic, not pathetic. Yeah, that's a little bit from me, Arnav out.
What? I don't. Okay,
No,
first of
I'm
all, he could
joking.
be
I'm still
speaking
here,
again. I don't
guys.
know
I'm
why he
still
did an
here. I'm
outro.
still here.
Okay. Anyway, so I think we focus a lot on like future careers, right? Let's focus more on what our general like life plans are and how that has to interact with first robotics and some of the skills that we think we are gaining right now that will help us in the future. And that could be like, on a technical side or non-technical side, just for an idea for the listeners right now, some ways that they can try to develop some skills as they're in the first robotics team.
Before I said Arnav out, but Arnav's coming off the bench. Third person he's going to talk about this, that yearn to learn. But back on it again, I'm about to switch it. Like Audi was saying, when you guys on your robotics team, there's a lot of things you should take away, but one thing that I really think should be honed in, like ingrained into your brain, into your brain's CPU, the hard coded in. The main thing is that like have a want to do something. Like don't sit there and think like don't let what other people think. Like don't be scared of what other people think. Don't fear anything like that. You are in there to learn and you are in there to get what you want out of it and don't be afraid to try. I think that's what they taught me. Like if I went into robotics without trying, I wouldn't be anywhere close to successful with public speaking, with programming, with anything relating to building after all. Anything with having to do with writing that I do sometimes on the admin side, all this stuff, if you're not willing to just give it a try, then you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, it's like that one like Greek mythology thing. Like I remember it from like a boring school that me and Arnav used to go to. Like we had to read Greek mythology, and now I can finally apply that to something I've learned. And it's like Sisyphus and the boulder. Like every time you make it so close to the top, it's kind of like what happened with that limelight. You made it so close to the top, and then the boulder rolled down the hill. So like it's that process of learning, going through all the hardships and struggles, and then you finally reach the top. But one time you'll be able to get that boulder on top of the mountain. Like it won't keep on rolling down. Like you'll make it. But that struggle it's there for a reason. Like you got to learn from it. You know?
Boulders rolling down hills reminds me of a physics problem that involves balls rolling down hills and calculating the friction for
Okay,
the
okay,
friction
Audi. What
force
does this
that we talked
provide?
about. No, 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 no. Wait, let me finish. Let me finish.
Oh, are you
So,
gonna get
basic,
somewhere?
so as I was saying before, you and Arul are both taking physics C, right? I took physics one in freshman year, so we're all familiar with these types of problems, right? I think I remember one situation where we started Swerve Drive last year, and I think it was Kate's dad, Mr. Donick, who was involved, like asking me about the torque that comes with the Swerve module. So that was something that I actually knew from my physics class, right? So it was pretty inspiring in terms of the way that I could use those physics concepts in robotics, and I actually hope for the future that the concepts that I'm learning now, whether it be through figuring out how to learn these technical names for all these robot parts and using them for the future. I hope they can help me in future endeavors, maybe through internships or any jobs.
For sure. To add on to that and tie us a little bit further back in with what we are talking about with, those soft skills that can be learned through robotics, you guys keep coming back to, persevering, the yearning to learn and moving through challenges. And I think that's probably the biggest skill that, we've learned is how to persevere, how to work through challenges, how to work together to overcome those challenges. And I think if there's one thing that, you can take away from this episode and from robotics, it's wanting to be able to move forward and move through things and, improve as people and as students and as engineers.
All right, well, I think that wraps up this episode about our future life plans after First Robotics. I think it's a very insightful discussion as our special guest Arnav came in to give us some insight on, I forgot what he even said, but it was a very interesting discussion.
You're
Anyway,
my yearns to learn. If you were to take out 3 words from this podcast episode, listeners, it is the yearn to learn. And with that,
anyway,
Audi, what were you saying?
on that note, thank you everyone for listening. I'm Aditya.
I'm Arno.
I'm Kate.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm a rule.
And we'll see you next time on In Orbit with Launch Team Robotics.